Hi everybody, this is Asmita Neve Pawar from Conversations Mumbai. Hope you all are at home and safe. As the numbers of COVID 19 cases are increasing, panic is also increasing. We are all super scared and confused as this is something very new and which we are dealing with. So today we have with us Dr. Prasad to guide us through this confusing situation. So Dr. Prasad, he has done his education in MD and DNB in pulmonary medicine, FNB in critical medicine. He is also a consulting chest physician and he is also an incentivist. He is currently working on frontline with COVID 19 patients. Hi, sir.
Hi, Smita.
Why is it called as novel coronavirus? Why is the word novel that we use?
Yes, it is novel coronavirus because the structure, the infectivity, the disease potential is completely different as compared to their fellow coronaviruses. Because this is a new virus. We have never experienced this virus before. No human being has ever encountered, so they don't have immunity against it. Right?
Okay.
That's why it's novel viruses. It is also called as the SARS CoV-2 because it has got a 70% similarity to its fellow SARS virus, which we have already encountered as a pandemic in the 2002 and 2003.
Okay. Okay. So,
It's
sir,
different.
what?
So that's
Yeah.
why.
Okay. So, sir, what exactly is this pandemic? And we have been hearing there are different stages of pandemic. So, what are the different stages of pandemic, and in which stage is India right now?
Yes. We all should know what is pandemic because everyone since we are listening, we have got a corona pandemic, right? So the pandemic we called any disease as a pandemic when the disease is happening in particular in many countries and many continents at the same time, that is involving a large population, that involve many large group, large states, everyone get infected with the disease at the same time, then we called as a pandemic. And actually considering there are four stages of the COVID pandemic. We have stage one, where basically we are infected patients who are coming from the infected countries. Initially, we know that we had a patient from Dubai, we had patient from the China, so they are the infected patients. So that is stage one. Stage two is one from this infected patients if their contacts getting infected. So there is a contact infection. This stage two.
Okay.
Stage three, which according recently ICMR, it is declared that we are in a stage three now, and which is the most concern point is the community transmission. Community transmission is we without a particular contact, without a proper history of travel. The patients are we are getting a patients who are coming from the community are getting themselves infected. So
Okay.
that is the community transmission, and we are in a stage three. Uh, and the last one is a fourth stage, which is the most concern phase for all of us, which where we might go, and I wish we won't go in that. So that is the stage four. Stage four pandemic is where basically there is no end point, and where the pandemic becomes endemic. So the country will have the infection from a long time, and we will be getting a sporadic cases again and
Okay.
again in that phase. Right. I think the China and Italy, they are in this stage four pandemic
Stage
right now.
four. Who is at the risk the most?
Uh, it's no one is immune with COVID-19, right? We all are susceptible for COVID-19. It's not like that. They basically those who are the young, old, everyone is susceptible for COVID-19. But more than 65 age group, those with comorbid medical conditions, those with the diabetes uncontrolled, those with the blood pressure, those with the uh, unfamiliar cancer, uh, all immunity related diseases, they are more susceptible and they will have a more progressed phase, progress infection of COVID-19. So they are the one which whom we need to protect more.
Okay. Okay. So, sir, and what are the symptoms? How do we know that we should get a test? This is not like a regular sardi khasi zukam. These are the symptoms of coronavirus, and we should test ourselves.
The thing is that most commonly now we have to be vigilant about the symptoms. Uh, it's community transmission. So it is previously we used to think that we need to ask the patient when they're coming to our OPD that they should have the travel history or not. So that is now it's not needed, right? Any patients who is coming, or you are encountering any your fellow members who is symptomatic, who has got a cough and fever, they are the ones which need those people should get them evaluated. Most common is a fever and cough. It's shown that almost 87% of the patients who are infected, they show fever. Then 67% have dry cough. So fever and dry cough will be the main symptoms.
Okay.
Those symptomatic patients should get themselves checked. Again, we can have symptoms like breathing difficulty. That is also we diagnose that we called it as SARI. That is severe acute respiratory infection. Then severe body ache, myalgia. You can have blood in the vomitus or blood in the cough also. You will have severe headache, also breathing difficulty and diarrhea. Sometimes can be also one of the presenting feature of COVID-19. So everyone should be vigilant about it, and we have to get everyone checked.
And sir, how exactly is this caused or transmitted? As in, is it airborne? It happens because of touch. Uh, we touch newspapers, currencies, groceries every day. So, can it get transmitted through that also?
Yes, the thing is that it's definitely not airborne. Whatever the studies we have till this date from the China, they have not shown that's not shown that it's an airborne disease, right? So normally any virus infection, it's a respiratory virus. So either it can be airborne or it is a contact. It depends on that. Uh, so the thing is that being a respiratory virus, it is spread by a respiratory droplets. Now it is spread mainly by infected person. Infected person can cough or can basically this is sputum, which will be included in the respiratory droplets will be included in that, and he can spread the infection up to a distance of at least 1 meter and or 3 feet. So the concept of social distance is coming. So that distance is a range where his cough droplets can fall, and
Okay.
anyone can get himself infected. Second is the object touched by the patient. So that is most concern point is the groceries, all the basically objects, all the newspaper. If they are touched by infected person, they can infect others, right? And so
Okay.
that's why the social hand washing and concept of repeated and at more than 20 seconds of hand washing concept is coming.
And can a person who doesn't have any symptoms also transmit it? If yes, how? As in, if the person is not sneezing or coughing, can that person still transmit it?
Yes, there is a symptomatic carrier phase. Definitely, the infected person can transmit in a maximum way. Right, he is the one who can spread the infection. But a symptomatic carrier phase, where the patient is infected, but with a good immunity, he is not showing the symptoms, can also definitely transmit the infection. Right, so that's why normally, if you consider as 100 patients are infected with COVID-19, out of which the 20% do show symptoms, 80% don't show symptoms because you have natural immunity. With that, because of that, you are not showing the symptoms, but they do carry and they do spread the infection. So that's why we are going for a lockdown, where people are said to stay at home, right? So that this asymptomatic phase will not spread the infection outside.
Correct. And we are also suggested to wear mask. So how does this mask really help, and who should wear it? Everybody should wear it, or only the patient should wear it?
Yes, the mask is like a barrier. Mask is the barrier, and the barrier is advised. The first of all, it was advised for only deceased patients, who's those who have got an infection. From the infected person, definitely they should wear a mask so that they should not cough, and they should not the nasal secretions and droplets should not enter in the atmosphere, and they should not affect others. They should not infect others. But in the current scenario, uh, I'll urge that everyone should wear a mask, because we don't know the asymptomatic carrier stage, and this is also always a concern. So whenever you are going out, you should wear a mask. It's not necessary that you have to wear any special mask you can wear a normal surgical mask also, a normal mask, or basically a mask made from regular clothes also. So what is important? We need to cover our nose and through nose and mouth,
Mouth,
and
correct.
that is important, right? We can use a regular handkerchief also, but you have to use a basically new handkerchief every time. There
Correct.
is we and once we are wearing it, we should not touch the outer surface of it, because many a times if we are started touching it, there we are going to infect that with our hands also. So we should not touch it, and also we should follow if by unfortunately, if someone is not carrying the mask or any barrier, we should use the respiratory etiquettes. Normally, there is respiratory etiquettes means whenever a person is coughing, we have to cuff it against our flexed elbow, right?
Elbow,
So
correct.
that we won't spread the infection.
Correct. So, like you, sir, like you mentioned that if we are using a handkerchief, we have to clean the handkerchief every time. You cannot reuse the same handkerchief. But
Right.
do we have the same logic with mask also? Do we have to discard the mask once we use it, or we can reuse the mask?
No, no, no. We should not reuse the mask. The mask. That's why. That's why the. That's why we can use any other thing. Right. Mask. We do have. We know that the masks are very limited with us. And the mask is not the something which is ideal one. Right. So we cannot reuse the mask. The material of the each mask is the mask should if you are using an N95 mask also, the maximum duration we can use it as 6 hours. Beyond which we should not use it, because if you are using beyond that, it will infect yourself.
Correct, correct. Fair enough. Okay. And I've also seen a lot of common people using hand gloves. Does it really help wearing hand
uh,
gloves?
no, no. Hand gloves is something which has to be hand gloves, N95 masks. They are made and they should be used uh, they're used by a health professional only when you are using them as a barrier against a disease patient. Regularly using hand gloves is not going to help you. It's just going to give you the false sense of security, because you are not using a clean hand gloves. You are definitely using a surgical reused hand gloves. The best part is you have to have a social hand washing, and more than 20 seconds hand wash with either regular soap or alcohol containing hand wash. But using a hand gloves is not going to help you if you are in a common population. It is only for healthcare workers.
Okay. And sir, does immunity play a major role on how the infection is happening or how your body is handling the infection after it is contracted?
Yes, we all know any infection coming, any infection we are encountering. So the immunity plays a major role. Uh, Immunity is basically its army, right? So if whenever the infections we are encountering the COVID-19, if we have a good immunity, we will have a very less symptoms. If we have a very poor immunity, those with the old age, those with the multiple comorbidities, they have got a low immunity, so they will have a progressed form of disease, right? So immunity plays a major role. With the good immunity, we can definitely escape from the infection, the progression of the infection. Definitely, and also the most concerned part with the COVID-19, that it produces a phase like a the cytokine storm syndrome, right? Where it progress our own immunity progresses, and they are acting against us, right? So the our treatment is also based on immunomodulators. Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Okay. And so, what precautions should we take?
There are as we all know, means till I think everyone is aware of it, and just I want to emphasize in this precaution. First important point is the social distancing. As we know, as we have already discussed, how the transmission is happening. So we have to keep that social distance of 3 feet and 1 meter from each other. We have to do a regular hand wash every time we touch any object. We go out. We have to do that more than 20 seconds of hand wash. We have to use a normal soap or any alcohol containing solution for the hand wash. We have to stay at home because we don't want to basically we don't want to have don't want to spread the infection. Third thing, we should be vigilant. We should know whatever the colleagues are doing, whatever when the family members are doing. Anyone develops any symptoms in form of cough, breathing difficulty, the sore throat or running nose, anything, we should identify them and send the person or take that person to the nearest doctor and get him checked for the COVID.
So should we take them to a regular family doctor, or do we have to take them to the hospitals dedicated for coronavirus?
No. So first, you should take them to your family doctor, because your family doctor is the one who is the first point of contact, right? So from there, he's going to screen, because there are some specific symptoms of it. Because it's a virus infection. Yeah, it can be co-infected, or it can be, there is differential diagnosis. The normal viral infection can also present like that, but we have to differentiate from the COVID-19, and then only we have to send it to a particular center. Now, you should go to your family physician. He will differentiate and send the patient to your dedicated COVID centers. BMC have beautifully they have made basically a plan to it, right? So we have three centers, right, in Mumbai right now. So one is a basic center. It is called as dedicated this COVID care clinic. It's a basic center where we are treating a mild cases, and those with only fever and cough, right, who have potential to come positive or negative. And depending on that, the positive patients are sent forward. Then second layer comes, the second set of centers comes as a dedicated COVID health centers. There, moderate symptoms patients we are treating, where we are treating them with a fever, cough, mild breathlessness, who need just oxygen, not a very high ventilator supports. Then
Okay.
and definitely positive patients are treated here. Then we have a COVID care hospitals, where these patients who require ICU care, who need a very high supportive care needed, they will be kept.
Okay, so the
So
ideally the first step is to go to our family physician, get checked, and then if required, to the designated
there's
COVID hospital. Okay.
yes.
And there are a lot of myths that are going around. So please help us understand what is the correct and what is false. What is a myth? So drinking hot water or taking stims will kill the virus. This is what we have been hearing around. Is it really true?
No, definitely. In fact, you're getting a proper steam and drinking a hot water is not going to kill the virus, but it's a good habit, right? So, if you're continuing to do the drinking of hot water and getting steam, you will be stay healthy. But definitely, it's not specifically going to kill the viruses.
Okay. And immunity boosters will stop you from getting infected altogether. This is also what we have been hearing from quite a long time.
No, no, no. So that is also a false statement. Immunity
Okay.
boosters, they include vitamin C supplements, all the zinc preparations. They'll help you to build up your immunity. So
Okay.
indirectly, they are helping you to basically fight with the COVID infection. They are not the one which is going to stop you for getting infection. So
Okay.
there is a difference between them.
Okay. There's also one more thing which is going around is hold your breath for 10 seconds and check if you are feeling breathless, then you are contracted with virus. If you are not feeling breathless, you can hold your breath for 10 seconds very smoothly, then you are perfectly fit and fine.
Yes, it's also a myth. It's a false statement. You cannot use that as a screening test to rule out whether you have got COVID-19 or not, because the breath holding can the main screening is the symptoms, right? Where you get a cough, you get a fever, you should get yourself checked for the COVID-19 test. You should get your swab done. So this is the way we are going to diagnose it. Just taking a deep breath cannot signify and cannot identify whether you have got COVID-19 or not. And if you have a breathlessness, then there are some tests to identify whether it is breathlessness because of which symptoms. It was a very old method to understand whether you have a lung fibrosis or not. But in a COVID-19 patient, lung fibrosis is a very late stage. Till that
Okay.
time, you can identify them with the different clinical features. So it's definitely not the tool where we should use it to identify the patients, whether you
Okay.
have breathlessness or not.
And there's one more WhatsApp which is going around that India is a warm place and virus will not stay for quite a long time. Is this really true?
No, it's not true. was actually a big hopeful thought, but it's not happening. What research and what we know from the data we have is a virus can withstand the temperature variation very well, and we can see that is infecting a large population in India. So no, it's definitely a myth.
Also, consuming chicken, egg, fish can put you at a risk. Is it really true? Should we all get vegetarians?
Uh, a vegetarian diet is also a good diet, but definitely not. The chicken and the eggs are not going to infect you at all. It's a rich source of high protein diet. If you're having that, you can continue having it. You need not stop them because it's COVID.
What about fish? Can we have fish? Is it
Yes, you can
okay?
definitely have fish. Yeah, it's bird related virus. It's related with the bat. Right? So don't worry. I'm just joking. It's this definitely the you can all have the fish. Right?
Okay.
Fish is nothing to do with any COVID.
Okay. There's also one more WhatsApp which is going around is that young patients, they are safe. They will not contract coronavirus because it can happen only to people who are old, more than 60, or who are younger than 10. Is it really true?
No, it's also a false statement. Anyone can get COVID-19 because it all depends on the susceptibility of the host. Right? If you have a low immunity, you can get infection. We do have a patient who is 18 years old. They have got COVID-19, and we do have a patients who are doing the 60s in their 60 65 age group. They are also getting COVID-19. So the age is no bar. Right? Anyone can get COVID-19 infection. Uh, the most important point is immunity. Right? If you have a better immunity, you can withstand it better. If you have a poor immunity, you will get a progressed form of disease.
Okay. And also, can mosquito bite spread coronavirus?
No, it is not malaria. So definitely, mosquitoes bites cannot spread the disease. It was a myth, and definitely the research till now it's shown that it's not a blood-borne related virus. So it cannot be spread by mosquito bite. So it's a respiratory virus. It definitely the cough droplet infections are the one which is source of infection.
Okay. And we are also seeing a lot of societies doing this kind of thermal temperature test. They hold a thermal thing in front of your forehead and they check your temperature. So is it like a foolproof mechanism that your temperature is normal means you do not have the virus?
No. So it is definitely at present in all over the globe. This thermal temperature, we are using the scans to identify who are sick, right? So it's not necessary that it's going to point out those who are infected with the COVID. They will have they will have this infection, and they will be the one who can be identified. We are just identifying that with the thermometer who have got a temperature, right? So we can identify from them. We can we can bring them to a screening zone where we can take their history. We can do their regular checkup. We can get their swab, and then only we can say that they are infected. It's just a screening tool.
Okay. So it's just one of the parameters and not a foolproof system.
Absolutely right. It's one of the parameters.
Okay. So moving ahead with the next question, sir, who exactly should get tested, and do we have any helplines, guideline numbers where we can ask these doubts that these are the two, three things which are happening to me. Should I come and test myself to ask these kind of doubts? Do we have any helpline?
Yes, government India have they have already released our helpline number where definitely we can ask them what we should. If we have any doubt, we can definitely contact them. Even our Maharashtra government, BMC have issued the helpline numbers, which will be showing you. And definitely we can contact them in case of any doubts. They are ready to respond to us, and they're ready to guide us where we can go in a situation. We can tell them where in which zone we are and which is the nearest COVID care center near us. So definitely they guide us regularly. So we all know any symptomatic patient, we have to get ourselves checked. There are recent ICMR guidelines. The ICMR guideline is the Indian Council of Medical Research, which tells us basically there's 6 categories of patient should get regularly checked. Right. So that includes all the symptomatic individuals who have undertaken a recent international travel in the last 14 days. Second thing, all the symptomatic healthcare workers should themselves get checked. Then all the patients who are coming with the acute respiratory illness like fever, cough, breathing difficulty, we should check them. All the symptomatic, also the all symptomatic patients, symptomatic people who are coming in contact with the confirmed cases, we need to check them. If they don't have symptoms, still they have to get them checked, right?
Check. Oh,
Also, this symptomatic patients who have got ILR, we call it an influenza like illness, where patient is getting a fever, cough, sore throat, running nose, they should get themselves checked. And the new point which recently added by ICMR is the asymptomatic direct and high risk contacts, or we are coming in contact with the confirmed cases between the period of 5 to 14 days, where they have visited any hotspots or clusters, right? Or any large migration gathering, they should get themselves checked, right, to
okay.
avoid a spread.
Okay. And we also have been hearing this that we are lack of testing kids. Is it really true? Is India really lack of testing tools?
No, it's not like we have adequate test kits available. We are doing a sequential testing. As we know that we cannot do a mass checking, right? So, what the best policy India has adapted is basically lockdown, and that is looking like a successful thing, right? So we could have directly surpassed Italy or China at a given time, but because of lockdown we are trying to control it till now. So this we do have enough kits. We are checking regularly. There are thousands of testings are done daily, and we are getting adequate results also of it, right? So we are not lacking this kits at all. So there is a sequential and there is a methodology behind doing this all the testings. So we have adequate kits and we are checking who are symptomatic, and that is a plan. Second thing, I think in a couple of days we will get the new kits also, where we will be doing the antibody tests, right? A rapid test, which and previously where we are doing a swab test. It's RT-PCR. Now we can do this antibodies test in a couple of days also.
Okay. So first, sir, before we talk about antibody test, which is a new thing, if you could help us understand in the current testing process, what exactly is the testing process? What happens in that test?
So what we are doing, basically according to ICMR guidelines, we have these 6 categories of the patient. What have I already discussed? We bring them in our COVID center. Uh, they are thoroughly checked. Their history is checked. If we find out they are symptomatic and they need to get checked, we do there. At present, we are doing a throat swab check. Right, we are taking a simultaneously swabs from the nose as well as the throat from them, by a person who is completely wearing a proper PP and with the proper precautions. They are sent in a viral culture media to a designated lab. A designated lab who has got at least biosafety level 4 clearance. They're going to process them, and within 24 hours we get the results of it. Now,
Okay.
if it tests positive, we are doing RT-PCR test. It's a real-time polymerase chain reaction. It has got almost 70-75% sensitivity in the first 7 days. So it is the diagnostic tool for us right now, and which is giving us result in 24 hours. We are checking it and we are giving a positive result. If the patient comes positive, he will be directly get admitted in the COVID designated center, and also the BMC is doing contact tracing for that patient. His contacts, all the contacts are checked. They are thoroughly investigated, and we are definitely to stop the transmission of COVID-19. All the
O-
measures will be taken.
Okay.
If it is negative and is symptomatic, 14 days observation period he will be kept.
Okay. So if they are negative, then are they kept in a special ward or it is like a general ward where beds are allocated at a social distance?
Definitely. So those who are negative with the COVID-19, but they are still symptomatic, then definitely we are admitting them in a hospital. We are definitely at present, all the hospitals are made in a such a way that the social distancing also almost more than a meter distance will be kept in between the two beds, so that they stay away from each other, and they will be symptomatically treated. in when there is a high index of suspicion for us, because there is a 70% sensitivity, but there can be a false negative cases. So when we have a high index of suspicion, we are repeating this RT-PCR test for them, the throat swab, then in every 48 hours till we get a good
Okay.
results. And once we are completely, once the patient is who are negative, COVID-19 test negative, who is off infection, of symptoms, who is completely cured of infection, and then only he will be sent out in the community.
Okay. So, and sir, coming back to your earlier point, what exactly is this antibody test?
Yes. Antibodies test is a rapid test. We know that almost 24 hours time is required to get the result of RT-PCR. That's the throat swab, which we are currently doing. As compared to that, and it is a directly, we are taking the swab, and from that we are identifying the virus, and we are checking it. We comparing with the polymerase chain reaction, compared to genome, right? It's a specific test. The new test, which the ICMR has introduced, and which is rampantly doing in US, is this antibody test, where the blood sample is the one from which we are going to identify the viral infection. Uh, our body is always reacts to what it encounters. So antibodies are the one which are positive once the person has encountered a virus infection. There are two types of antibodies, either IgM or IgG. So IgM suggests a recent infection, where the IgG suggests a long-term infection. So they
Okay.
can be identified, and they can tell us whether the patient is infected with COVID-19 or not. It's a rapid test. So definitely we can save the time. We can diagnose it in a better way. There is a proper algorithm with which, if we get IgM positive, what to do, IgG positive is what to do, and we can follow that, and we can get fasten the process of the testing and tracing.
So, how quickly can we get results from antibody test?
It's almost within 1 to 2 hours we can get the results.
Okay, so it will really help us fasten the entire process.
Yes, it's a point of care test.
Okay. So, sir, once the diagnosis is done, whether the case is positive or negative, what is the next course of action that happens in the hospital?
Yes. So once we have identified the patient is positive, the patient will be admitted in the ward or ICU, depending on his symptoms. Definitely, there are different sections where we are categorized on the basis of their symptoms. The mild will go to COVID designate this COVID clinics. The moderate will be in a COVID dedicated health center, and definitely the COVID hospital will have a severe cases. The patient will get admitted, and definitely they'll get a therapy accordingly. Those who need a life support, who needs oxygen, they will be provided with oxygen ventilator supports. And once they're off symptoms of or they're getting better, so then we are going to check their swabs again. So then there will be tested again. And once they're for every the difference within that with the difference of 48 hours, if the two tests comes negative, they will be out of that isolation section, and they
Okay,
will be out in a normal ICUs or normal care unit.
okay,
Or if the patient is completely asymptomatic, his two samples comes negative with a gap of 24 hours, they will be sent in a community with the 14 days of isolation advice.
okay. And once the positive patient is admitted in the hospital, can their relatives visit them, see them, talk to them?
The policy has changed. We are what we follow in our hospital, that we have dedicated COVID units, where the dedicated the doctor and dedicated nurses who are separately staying will be there. They are not allowed to mix with the community, because chances of cross infection. So we are keeping basically a COVID tablet we are keeping. So we are contacting with the relatives on the COVID our Wi-Fi system on net, and we are informing them the what is our care plan, what is how they're improving. But no, relatives they are asked. Definitely, there are chances that and what are the positive cases we are getting. Maximum relatives are themselves infected. So we are asking them to stay at home or stay in a hospital where they're admitting, and we are informing on telephonically them that what is the current scenario or what is the current situation of their patient. Right? We are
Okay.
sending them pics also. like this contact.
Uh, Okay, so basically, patients and doctors have to use all the IT equipments to be in touch with their relatives. None of them are allowed to have a face-to-face conversation. Sir, and if by chance a patient passes away due to coronavirus infection, is there any specific way to take care of the body? Is the body handed over to the relatives? How does it happen?
Unfortunately, if a patient dies with the COVID-19, there is a ICU, there is a proper ICMR and government protocol to have to go ahead with it. Right? We normally inform the police and we normally inform the BMC authorities. BMC authorities come, the patient is wrapped and patient is covered in a with a basically there are specific plastic bags, and according to the guidelines, uh, unfortunately we cannot allow the relatives to handle that body. We can hardly show them, and they basically this there is a BMC protocol, and according to which the body get cremated, right? It is never handed over to the relatives because
Oh,
we want to we want to stop the spreading the infection.
correct, correct. Sir, and why there is no specific medicine or vaccine as of yet?
It's a recent virus, right? We have it's identified in Wuhan in December 19. We have just started treating it. So it's been a fight of 4 to 5 months. Definitely, the all over the world, everyone is trying to basically get the vaccine, the specific medicines to develop, but it is under research stage, right? I think within a year, we definitely will get a vaccine for it, and we'll get a specific treatment protocol. All the hospitals, including India, ICMR, Indian Society of Critical Care Medicine, they have developed their protocols, right? Even there is an international gathering is happening internationally, the basically on a phone, on the basically on the internet media. So everyone is sharing their protocol, their experiences, and on that basis, the treatment is lined up, right? And just I want to share this, that we have a lot of patients who are successfully treated also. So we do have this combination of therapy is working. There are many patients, means almost 80 to 90% of the patients are getting treated. They are going home successfully. So definitely the combination is helping. But the specific antiviral medicines are definitely not available. We are using combinations, multiple combinations to treat the infection right now. But definitely in a coming year, there will be a streamlined specific antiviral medication for the COVID-19, and vaccines will come.
And what is the worst that can happen in India, considering the population?
Yes. The concern definitely in India is the population, uh, the lack of awareness about it. So, but I think the worst thing is going to happen is the pandemic stage 4, right? Where the infection becomes just endemic and with no endpoint. So that is the worst we can expect. And I wish we will never reach that stage. People are aware about the infection. People are doing their best. In the lockdown period, they are staying at home. Uh, so let's see. Let's hope. Let's all try together to stop the spread of infection, and let's help India not to go in that pandemic stage 4, and that's the worst phase where we will have a maximum mortality, the maximum infection, which will collapse our all the systems.
Okay. Sir, we have also been hearing a lot about BCG immunity. So, what exactly is this BCG immunity and how does it help?
BCG is something which is familiar to India, right? Because considering the Indian population, we all the rampantness of the TB infection in the Indian population, every child in a community, Indian community, they get BCG. It's an intradermal vaccine everyone gets. So to restrict and to basically limit the tuberculosis infection, if you get infected with TB, BCG immunity has got a basically the cross immunity is shown in some research papers that the BCG immunity, BCG vaccination related immunity with the immunity, we can stay away or we can limit the basically the severity of COVID-19 if you get infected. but it is completely still under research. There is no fixed fixed protocol is set in. It's still under research.
Okay. So we have also been hearing this term PPE. So what does this PPE exactly mean?
So PPE stands for personal protective equipment. It is sort of a barrier. So where it is definitely for the no, definitely healthcare workers who are in a contact with the COVID-19 patients. So whenever we are when we when we go for go and check the COVID-19 patients, we wear a PPE. The healthcare PPE, it's a fully enhanced PPE, we call it, where we are from the top to the bottom, we are completely covered with the barrier suits. We use goggles, we use N95 mask. We are wearing a two sets of gloves, where we are forming a sort of barrier in
Barrier.
form of this PPE to stay away from COVID-19 infections. Right? It is only recommended for healthcare workers.
Healthcare workers. Okay. So, sir, you yourself have been working closely with COVID-19 patients, and all the healthcare workers are at the maximum risk of this virus. So, are they following any specific measures in terms of are you allowed to go back to your own house or you have a different accommodation? How does it work?
Yes. What we are doing as a healthcare worker, as a doctor, we are working in COVID-19 care units. So we know that there is almost a 7% mortality in the healthcare workers as compared to the normal population, where there is a 2% mortality. The more mortality in healthcare workers is because we are exposed to the viral infection repeatedly, right? If we get repeated exposure, the severity is definitely more. So we are using personal protective equipments. Our institutes are giving us personal protective equipments with which we form a barrier against the infection. The in this basically we what in a working schedule of us, it is planned that whenever we are working in the COVID care unit, we stay in a hospital campus only. We are even the our center is basically where we are working is completely different from the normal hospital center, where we have different accommodation, we have different connection with the hospital with the COVID care center only, and with which and the community the contact list and everything is different. So we stay in a hospital when we are dealing with the COVID care unit, and basically we take all the measures of donning and doffing for the with using the PPEs to stay away from the infection. Also, whenever we come out of the COVID care units, means we are doing every week, every third week we are going in a COVID care unit. So once we come out, we definitely go for some period of quarantine. Then we get ourselves checked for with the swabs also. When the swab comes negative, then only we are coming in the community, and then only we will be checking the regular patients.
Oh,
In addition to that, we are also following what the international guidelines and international research says, that we are staying in a COVID care unit for less than 6 hours a day and less than not more than 7 days. We are keeping that working schedule. We are following that working schedule, so that to stay to reduce our exposure to the COVID-19.
correct, correct, correct. Correct. So, sir, I guess I've asked most of my questions from my list. Is there anything else, anything specific that you would like to share it with our audience?
Corona can be treated. We have many patients, almost 70 to 80% of the patients, they have already completely cured and going home. So it is not like that. That if you have encountered a COVID infection, that you cannot be better, right? You can definitely. We have a patients who were on ventilator, and after 7 to 8 days, they're out of ventilator and going home, right? So it is definitely possible that if you get a COVID infection, you can be cured completely. Before that, we need to make sure that we don't get an infection. We have to stay
Correct.
away from infection, stay at home, stay healthy, and follow our government protocols.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for this valuable insight and helping us get over our confusion by answering all these questions. So, I would request all the viewers to stay at home, be healthy, and follow all the guidelines that our government and medical authorities are sharing with us. Thank you so much, sir.